What up, cucks? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece, and I wanted to make a video about something that's been on my mind lately. So I've been watching wrestling here and there, in preparation for WrestleMania, and I just had this feeling that we deserve better. It's really that simple, right? Nothing that we are presented with is worthwhile. It's as simple as that. What happened to wrestling being the most entertaining thing on TV? There was a point where that was the case, where entities like the NFL were afraid that wrestling was on Mondays because it would interfere with Monday Night Football. Institutions like the NFL were afraid of Vince McMahon and Monday Night Raw. And nowadays, Masked Singer season 1900 doesn't give a rat's ass because they crushed WWE in the ratings. Everything crushes WWE in the ratings. Now, blame can be assigned left and right, mostly with the talent, but also with the booking and also with the company itself. The business model has fundamentally changed, but that is no excuse to tolerate what is happening around us. Primarily, where are all the interesting characters? Now, logic dictates that some of the wrestlers that we have today must be interesting in their personal lives. I mean, evidence to the contrary exists. Like you have Cesaro reviewing espressos. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like nobody cares about that. But the point is, some of these guys must be cool. But instead of trying to find people that are cool, they're finding people that are not cool, but are athletic. They forgot that this is not a real sport. They're like, oh, Obafemi was a Division I football player. Who gives a rat's ass? Obafemi is a jobber, okay? It doesn't matter if he's like a 100-time champion of 100 different sports. Nobody cares about that in wrestling. Wrestling isn't about that. Now, the people that are now wrestlers are mostly jobbers and nerds who played video games, who played wrestling video games. People like Xavier Woods who have some capacity on the mic, right? Probably because he's been to school and he's intelligent, so therefore he knows how to carry himself, but he's otherwise unexciting as an individual, right? I don't need to hear Xavier Woods' take on video games because Xavier Woods is a nerd, okay? I don't need nerds telling me what's cool and what's not cool, all right? That's the problem here. You have Seth Rollins, whose entire character revolves around the fact that he wears effeminate clothing. Like, you couldn't make this up. You couldn't make this up if you tried. And then we have people that are just inherently uncool that they present to us as cool. The ultimate slap to the face. Yeah, there's a few cool ones here and there, mostly vestiges from the Ruthless Aggression era like Carlito and MVP. But for the vast majority, it's a bunch of dorks. Okay? Now, we deserve more than this, right? What we're getting is a spit to the face. Now, we are getting Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Obviously, Roman Reigns is a different story. He is cool. You can just tell by his promos. Like, he cuts his promos like a cool guy, and Cody Rhodes cuts them, like a crying child or like a woman. He's always complaining about something, this Cody Rhodes. There's always something that has happened to him, right? It's a very feminine way to do it. And in fact, you can look at Becky Lynch, who is the most successful diva in the modern era, and her entire character and why she's successful is because she took on a masculine role, calling herself the man and not complaining, but basically completely copying and pasting Conor McGregor's shtick into WWE and getting a lot of success out of it. So the formula is still there, right? Like, we have evidence that it works for Becky Lynch and it doesn't work for, Montez Ford, let's say, right? Because he's a goof. But what we don't have is the implementation of this formula in a way that's going to give us meaningful things. Now, the wrestling fan base obviously has gotten more and more effeminate and more childish over time. This is indisputable. We have grown men crying and chanting, whoa, 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 right? Back in the day when people would say, suck it, and you'd see people getting drunk, like You guys know that little clip of the UFC fan who's just like jacked and he's flexing his muscles. He's clearly drunk, right? That was like iconic for the UFC when they were branding that way. Like that guy was the sports fan of the 90s, right? That person was the person that cared about sports. Now, the whole society is just like out of shape and kind of like weak and effeminate. We even have some men that are turning into women. So, I mean, like, there's clearly something wrong with masculinity, and this reflects very much on the wrestling product. Because if your fan base is effeminate, then you're going to give them Cody Rhodes, someone effeminate who cries easily. And they're going to be like, wow, he's just like me. He has feelings. Oh, go, Cody, go. And then Roman Reigns, the heel, is presented as a guy who doesn't care about these feelings and who's just there for a paycheck, right? Which is the subtle gimmick of everyone that was ever over until Cody Rhodes, basically, right? And maybe CM Punk, you can make an argument. Everyone else was there for the paycheck, and you knew it. You never had any, like, doubts that The Rock is there to get paid. You never had any doubts that Stone Cold, despite his character, was there to get paid, right? Stone Cold left over, like, the fact that he wanted to protect his character, right? And people still love him. Brock Lesnar, that's like part of his character. Then you have people like Hogan, Nash, Scott Hall. These guys, that's like the entire point of NWO is that like we're here for our money. Ric Flair, all these guys, right? It was very evident, very, very evident what was going on, the types of people that we were looking up to. Now, obviously, you don't really look up to them in the real sense of the word, right? You don't go around giving your boss the Stone Cold Stunner, you know what I mean? But the idea was these were characters that you could have a catharsis through, right? Through Cody Rhodes, you can also have a catharsis if your problem is, I was never acknowledged. Oh, nobody gave me what I duly deserve because my dad... Like, if you talk like that, you know, and most wrestling fans now do, right? Then you get what you get and you don't get upset. And what you get is Cody Rhodes wrestling once every 2 months and then complaining that Roman Reigns wrestles once every 3 months, right? It's the most ridiculous thing ever. I get it. Now we're close to WrestleMania, so we can't afford to have Cody Rhodes injured lest we have no match at all because there's nobody else that has been pushed at all for the last 5 years. So with that being said, this is going to be not a good WrestleMania in my opinion. Now, on top of all this, the cherry on top of this steaming pile of shit is the fact that people have opened their mouths and accepted this shit as food, right? They're told it's food, it's clearly shit. But we deserve better, right? Now, I'm not saying don't watch WrestleMania because it is WrestleMania and you watch WrestleMania just to watch WrestleMania. It could be Tozawa versus a returning S.A. Rios and I would watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. But... the idea is we should not be okay with this WrestleMania. If I were there, right, which obviously I wouldn't go because why would I pay money for this, right? I would be booing Cody Rhodes, right, and starting the turn on him quickly. Cody Rhodes is not without merit. And I will say this, and I've said it the entire time I've had this channel. Cody Rhodes has some merit. He's athletic. He's good looking, right? He has a pedigree. And he doesn't really botch much, right? He's got a lot going for him. The one thing that he doesn't have going for him is his character, because he has premised his character around something that is unappealing to the core wrestling audience. Now, I'm not talking about the people that are still watching. I'm talking about the core wrestling audience, which is 2 categories. 1, men of all ages, shapes, sizes, and colors. And 2, redneck and trailer trash people. This is who wrestling is supposed to cater to. You don't believe me? Go to a local wrestling event and count the number of teeth that are in the front row. It'll be about 6 or 7 teeth total, right? Wrestling is still the sport of country-ass trailer trash people. And I say that with love. I love these people. They're very kind. They're very polite. They enjoy wrestling as much as possible. But these people are no longer being pandered to. They're no longer being catered to because now we have to cater to the My Little Pony demographic. The nerds, right? The neckbeards who take a shower every 6-7 days if they're lucky, go to anime conventions, and then complain about why The Rock is back, right? I am painting with a broad brush, but we all know that what I'm saying is largely true. Yes, I am aware that there are some people that aren't neckbeards that like Cody. I have some friends that are not neckbeards that like Cody, right? But in my opinion, Cody Rhodes could have had a great push that could have gotten everyone on board, right? Not the lowest common denominator who is going to be entertained by something as stupid and simple as finish the story, right? And then another time, because I don't have the energy right now, I'm going to do another video about the problems of the mid-card, which are even worse. Cucks.